I'm Ty Davis. I'm originally from Fort Worth, Texas, and I'm a recent graduate from Oklahoma State University. So I showed up in the middle of January, and my first day there we were sorting through calves. And when I heard about the internship and applied and all that, I understood it was going to be, or what I thought it was going to be more of a reproduction based, and then come to find out it's more ranch operations with a little bit of reprod in there. But it's more about ranch operations, the day-to-day stuff, what a seed stock operation really does, internship. I'd actually never really worked on a ranch like this. I've worked on a seed stock operation before, but nothing to this caliber. I had never ridden a horse before, so I learned how to do that here. So it was a little different as far as like semen testing and carcass scanning and stuff like that. I didn't really know that those were things that a lot of people did, and so we learned about the whole basics of that. I think it's extremely valuable. You know, if there's a tool for a buyer to know, I think they need to know it. You know, if I'd be pretty upset if I bought a bull that wasn't passed for semen tests, and if I know what his ribeye is, I can use that in my decision making. Yeah, the day of the fire, it was really, really, really windy that day. I mean, we were actually gathering a pasture, and when we were going, we were just getting pelted with sand, and like it stung like needles. And we eventually got them in, and we were working cows and calves that day. And it was kind of a long day, and we took about a 2:30 lunch after we had just worked the calves, about to leave the cows in. And so we went to town. I had to get something from the mail, and Sayde Reader, she had to go order some tires. And when we got to town, I went and got my mail, no big deal. She went to the tire shop, and everyone had left, and we didn't really know why. And they said, oh, because of the fires. And I'm like, oh, you know, whatever, we're fine, we're going back to work. And we're headed back, and about 15 or 20 cars passed us going the other way. And we thought that was weird because we'd never seen anybody on that road, more than one person on that road ever since we've been here. And we finally get to cell service, and Hayley called us, one of the other interns, and said, hey, the fire is at Mark's house right now. It's at the AI barn, turn around and leave. So we hauled out, went to Buffalo, Oklahoma, and at that time Hayley and Sydney had the horses, had about 7 horses with them, and we stopped off there at a vet clinic there where we stayed there for a while, about an hour and a half, and smoke came billowing in there. So then we left and we went to Sydney's house in Mustang, Oklahoma, and that's where we stayed for the night, and then came back the next morning. It's a day, I know it's still pretty early after, but it's a day I'm never gonna forget going back. You know, just you see green grass, cows alive, and next thing you know, you see black grass and a bunch of dead ones on the side of the road. Some that are in the road, some that are on the fences, and then the worst was seeing the ones that were walking down the road with us that had gotten out of the fence, and you could tell they couldn't see anything, and we're just walking down there just like a walking zombie pretty much. It's been about a week and a half since the fire, maybe a little more, a week and 5 days, something like that. It's been hard. It's some of the hardest work I've ever done in my life. Long hours, you know, sun up past sundown. Mentally, it's been hard. You know, us interns, we kind of talked before. We felt like even though it's going to be hard to see all these things, we're not the ones that lost anything. We tried to be the strong ones. Turned out the family was strong enough without us, but we had to keep our guards up, kind of harden ourselves, and do anything they asked us to do, because that's what we're there for, to learn and to help. So, but it's been a huge learning experience too. You know, it's something I hope to never see again, and I don't think anybody else should ever see it either. But to just pick up and keep going has been quite an experience. Like, where to begin, you know, what's the end goal, things like that. You know, you see all these things like a hurricane, like Hurricane Ike or Hurricane Katrina, and you see like, send whatever you can, and it's weird to be that person that people send to. It was odd to be, you know, you're getting boxes of food and hay all day and all night. It was odd to be that, but it was relieving because we've been seeing all these stuff on the media here lately about riots and stuff like that, but it was relieving to know that a community actually can come together and contribute to a huge cause, like losing almost all or a huge portion of your cows and land and hay, and people to come together and help. Well, for one, I've got a pretty good story to tell. If I think us here have seen something that no one else in this world has ever seen before. This kind of devastation on land and animals and even people. I think the takeaways are life goes on. You can have this huge thing happen to you, and it's up to you to either quit and leave, or it's up to you to keep building and recover from it. I think that's the biggest one. It's more of a life lesson than actual operations lesson. Being a part of the gardening team, I realized how much we needed hay and supplies and all that stuff. It really lets you, it puts more into perspective. You can put yourself in their shoes if that happens. Like, I actually need stuff, not to just see it on TV and just say someone else will take care of it. I would hope to be in a position to donate hay or whatever it is. It's a great internship. It is. You learn more things than you thought you ever could, whether it's pushing a cow in a pasture or it's learning how a semen test goes on, or just a life lesson like we learned here from the fire. They're a great family. They'll take care of you, and there's a lot to be learned, and they're a great connection to have in your life.
I'm Sydney Thomason. I'm from Lone Wolf, Oklahoma. I'm a student at Oklahoma State University. So from my school, I got an email from our student success coordinator who sends out emails about internships and stuff like that. So thought it sounded interesting and something that I would want to do. I was thinking it would be kind of focused on the repro side of everything and more of AI in cattle and embryo transplanting, which I gotten to see some of that also. But we did a lot of ultrasounding, and I've actually gotten to do some sexing of fetuses, which was probably my favorite part about the internship. And just getting experience with that and getting practice at it. We've probably done like 300 or 400 cows of just like ultrasounding, and just getting that practice has been really helpful and beneficial. So, well, that morning we actually started, we got horses saddled up and everything, and we rode out to the Tate to gather about 100 pairs, I believe, and drove them up to the marketing center that morning. Super windy day, I remember that. Couldn't like open your eyes very much because it was windy. Then we were just working calves that morning and got off for lunch. Then we got a call from Kayla saying to take precautionary measures and to get a trailer and load up the horses that were all at the bull barn at the time. And so by that time it was already pretty close, and so Hayley actually was with me, and she dropped me off to bridle the horses and went and got a trailer. By the time she got back, I saw flames coming up over the hill, and we were loading horses, so a little bit scary, but it was different. The day we got back, we just started riding through pastures and gathering up cows that were alive and stuff like that, and just moving them to the wheat fields that were actually still, they didn't burn. Yeah, we would ride up and just find, like, I rode up and found 15 dead just laying in one of the hills, so it was definitely not something we expected or could have ever thought about, but I mean, it has taught me a lot. It's taught me how to deal with a stressful situation like that, and that I just know it could have been a lot worse, and that God was looking out for us that day. Everyone's just kind of come together, and everyone's helping each other if they need help building fence or if they need hay and anything like that. Everyone's been helping out and looking out for each other, so it's been kind of cool to see that. Definitely think it's helped give me a lot more experience and hands-on experiences. That's how I learned, from hands-on experience. So I wanted to do like more focused on the reproduction side of AI in cattle, or helping with embryo flushing and transferring and that kind of thing. So I've got to see that, and I think that's definitely still something I want to do. And it's just helped me kind of just look to the future. And I would definitely apply, and I would definitely do it again. So I think it's been a great experience. I've learned so much. And it's not only like the repro side of things, it's learning how to gather cattle and that kind of thing, and sorting and working cattle and giving shots, and even getting to work with the veterinarians there that are so great, and that'll help you learn if you ask questions. And they're all about helping you learn and helping you gain experience in what you want to do. So I think I would definitely do it again, and I think anyone should apply for it. So.
I'm Hayley Daniell. I'm from Florence, Texas. I'm a senior animal science major at Texas A&M. I got an email from one of my advisors, and after looking over everything they said that we'd be doing, I figured I'd apply. It was a long shot because I'm not a cowgirl at all. And then I got to talking to more people about Gardiner and how great of a family they are and everything, and I got really excited. And then when I got it, I was just like, Mark said, you know, we'll give you a few days to think about it. And I was like, well, can I accept it right now? Because I want to do that. And he was like, oh, okay. So I was pretty excited. We get to do a lot of reproduction stuff, but I didn't figure the days would be as long. But then I also didn't figure I would be okay with that. And it's like, we've been working the past week or two till 8, 9 o'clock, and you're tired, but you're willing at the same time. Like, you don't ever get tired of doing the stuff. You're physically tired, but you still want to stay there and help out and everything. So, I mean, it's more than what I thought it would be. And the connections you get to meet are just amazing. All the people we've met, it's just mind-blowing how much everybody knows about Gardiner and how much they respect them. We were working calves, I believe. And Dr. Tross walked outside and was like, oh my gosh, y'all need to come look at this. And we thought it was like a sandstorm, and which I don't know what that looks like. So I was like, oh, cool. And then we went home for lunch at like 2:30, and Sayde and Ty went to town, and me and Sydney were at the house, and Kayla calls me and was like, you need to go get the horses right now. Like, put them in the trailer and get out of there. We'll be there in 10 minutes. And we walked out of the house, and I had mentioned to Sydney earlier, like, you smell smoke. And she was like, oh, yeah, a little bit. And we didn't have any idea that it was what it was. So we take off towards the bull barn, and we see Mark coming, like hightailing it. And we get behind him, and all of a sudden you just see this big, like, horizon of nothing but smoke. And we had to bridle the horses and go get a truck and trailer. And so I dropped Sydney off at the bull barn and was like, you put bridles on, I'll be right back with the trailer. And I went up there, and when I got to the AI barn, I ran and opened the door to one of the trucks, and Greg was coming, and Greg just jumps in. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but cool, you can take this truck. Okay. So I went to the other one, and there were like 3 or 4 fire trucks, like next to the AI barn, and then another 1 or 2, and I think maybe a tank on the other side of the cattle guard. And I got in the truck, and all I remember is just seeing red. Like, there's smoke everywhere, but I don't exactly know, because and people are running everywhere. And so I get in the truck, and I whip it around, and Ransom was there, and I rolled the window down, and I was like, I'm going to get the horses. And so he follows me to the bull barn, and about that time, Kayla gets there, and we're shoving horses in as quick as we can, and that fire was like, I don't know, it felt like it was closer than it probably actually was, but I feel like if we hadn't gotten out of there when we did, like 30 seconds later, we probably all would have been burned, because it was right next to the road. And then when we took off, we were like, where are we going? And Kayla goes, anywhere but here. And the road going into the bull barn, the fire had already jumped over the road. So like, we couldn't get out, and we took off across the wheat field with 7 horses in the trailer, and she's going, look for holes, don't let me hit a hole. And luckily someone had opened the gate, because if not, we probably would have just ran right through it. And so we went to Kayla's house and picked up her cats, and then she was like, y'all just go to Buffalo. There's a vet clinic there, they know us, like, just get out of here. And so we called Sayde and Ty, and they met us in Buffalo, and we were there for like an hour. Like, unloaded the horses, let the cats out, and then all these fires started exploding up around Buffalo. And we were like, oh, we'll probably be fine here, and this lady comes in and was like, I'm taking my horses to Woodward. And we were like, we're gonna go too. And so we loaded everybody up and went to Woodward for like 20 minutes, and then the smoke comes rolling in. And so Sydney calls her parents, because they have a house in Mustang, and was like, hey, can we come and bring the horses? And they're like, oh, okay. So we drove another 2.5 hours to Mustang and unloaded them and stayed the night there and got up the next morning and drove back. And it's like everything when we left, you know, was like grass and green. And then when you hit the feedlot coming into Ashland, and we take a left and go around, and it's just black on both sides of the road. There's power lines down, and then like you turn on the road where the Dunn Ranch starts, and you go over that bridge where it turns to gravel, and so you know that this is where Gardiner starts. And then like you're looking around and you see dead cows on the side of the road, or cows huddled up, and you look and they're like our cows. And so like they're not ours as like interns, but like once you've been here for a while, like they're your cows too. And so it's like that just, I mean, makes your heart sink, and we all felt sick, and it was just sad. And like getting back, and then let's go move these cows here and move these cows here, and like all the dead ones or the ones that needed to be shot and stuff. And it's just like, I mean, the whole way to Mustang, I was crying off and on until Mark called us and told us everything was okay. After that, it was like, okay, we can breathe, but I mean, it's just something you don't ever want to encounter. But like, and they were saying, you know, if you can't handle it, totally understand, like you need to go back to the house, but like none of us wanted to leave, because like they needed us now more than they ever did. And so like I know they haven't really had 4 interns in the past, but I couldn't imagine there being a better time for them to actually have the 4 than it was whenever this fire happened. But I mean, you'll go different places that we haven't been to and see the different damages. And then like on our way here, we hadn't gone out through Ashland through the main road, and both sides of the roads are burned and houses are down, and it's like the most devastating thing I've ever seen. I didn't even know Ashland, Kansas existed before this. And for people to bring in semi-loads or truckloads or whatever they can of hay, and then, you know, Tyson came up and brought their truck and we're handing out food for everybody. And like, I mean, this is like I don't know if it's national, but it's a big thing and most people don't know. And then like at home, like I'm from Central Texas and nobody really knew. And so my parents have been sharing stuff and telling everybody, and like my parents are coming up here in a few weeks to build a fence all week long, and that's all they're gonna do. And it's like nobody expects to get paid or anything. Like all they need is a thank you. And the way it's been spread, like now everybody's getting to know. And you're getting hay from Louisiana and farther, and people have been bringing us, you know, food and just stocking us up so that we don't have to worry about any of that. And I just think that, you know, like the agricultural family as itself is just exploded through all this. And I never would have imagined that we'd have gotten this much support from everything. I don't really know if I wasn't here how I would have like thought about all this. Like, yeah, everyone's like, oh, it's a tragedy, but like they don't see the extent of it. But like since you're having to like be here and go through it, you know, hurricane comes in, now I want to go. Fire comes in, like anything, because I mean the more people you have, the better. Like, you can't have too many, and it's a total different perspective actually having to go through it. We have started since the fire to have Hawaiian Shirt Fridays because everybody was all down and just real depressed, and so Ty actually came up with Hawaiian Shirt Fridays. And so since then it's just like our like, you put on a bright shirt and all of a sudden you're happy. And we're getting everybody into it. Like Mark doesn't know yet, but he's even getting one, and so he's going to participate because he said if I had one I would. So we were like, all right, got it. So that's our like big thing now. Like we all get excited, and I know like it's really goofy, but it's definitely brightened everything up. And I mean, I never thought I would want to go to grad school or anything, and we've been to K-State like 2 or 3 times, and I absolutely love it. Like it might have changed my whole future just coming up here, and then like I know Sayde wants to go to vet school, and now she's looking at K-State's vet school. Like once you start at A&M, it's like that's where you gotta go. But then like we've met Dr. Thomason at K-State, and they're just amazing. And they're saying, you know, this is what you need to do to get in, and this is who you need to talk to. And like all the people that the Gardiners know, since that's like their whole family went there, like anything in ag that you want to go do, they know exactly who you need to talk to and exactly what you need to do. And so, I mean, it'll change your life coming up here. And the people, and like, I never realized I would enjoy that as much as I actually do. So I love every second up here.
I'm Sayde Reeder. I go to TexasA&MUniversity. I grew up in Santa Fe, Texas, but my family recently moved to Bullard, so I guess I'd say that's where I'm from. Well, I was friends with a former intern. He was a spring intern last year, and I had seen the emails that we get through school about it, and I looked up the Seed Stock 100 for a project in one of my animal science classes, and so I knew they were number 2, and so I knew they had to be pretty large, and I read up on it a little bit, and when I figured out that it was 100% AI, I had a million questions because I was like, how does an operation that's that sizable efficiently get that kind of work done? And so that's, I guess, what was intriguing about it to me. My goal is to get into vet school, and so I guess I've learned a lot of things here that go with that, from technical skills like small things, just like running the chute, or I mean, you learn things every time you push cattle up. I grew up around livestock, but I still learned things working in different facilities and how cattle move and things like that. We've gotten a lot of time on horseback, which I wasn't familiar with at all, and I really enjoy riding, and Kayla's been awesome and taught me a ton about horses. Ultrasounding with Dr. Beal, that was a huge thing. I think that I had not had palpation before, and so he kind of helped me get through that, and we went through a little lecture before we ultrasounded, and I mean, there's a ton of like just technical skills, I guess, that we learned. Also got to spend time with Dr. Spare. He's been awesome, and Dr. Tross. So my interest is vet school at Texas A&M, and now we also got to go to K-State, and so I think I could potentially be comfortable at K-State's vet school as well. I'll go wherever I get accepted, but I guess I've been open to a lot of different things since I've been here. So. Well, it started off as a normal day. We were working in the bull barn, and it was extremely windy that morning, and I guess about 11:30 we'd walked outside, and we were like, oh my gosh, it's so dusty, like crazy. And I guess if you're from West Texas, you would think that was normal, but I'm not. So I thought that was pretty crazy, and Cole said that that's about the top 5 worst dust storms he's ever seen, but it wasn't the worst. And so we were kind of making jokes about that. And then we ate a late lunch that day. I guess it was about 2:30 we were gonna go eat. And Ty and I had to go run some errands in town. And we were almost to Acres. And Hayley called, and she said, don't come back here. And she was like distraught on the phone. And we knew that there was a fire, or that the fire jumped the road at Inglewood because everybody in town was talking about it. And we were like, surely it's not that bad. And we were wrong. Up until then, there were certain days we had something to do all day long, and we got through with that, and then it was kind of like, all right, you're done for the day, let's start over again tomorrow on whatever tomorrow's job is. And I guess since the fire happened, now they really need our help, and so there's always something to do, and we get split up sometimes, and we work till 8:30 or till it's dark, and it doesn't feel like we're working so much harder necessarily in a bad way. It feels like we're being more productive, honestly, because we're getting things done that really need to be done. I would say that the internships taught me technical skills, and I've gotten to meet people and had opportunities that I wouldn't have been exposed to without this. But I guess I've learned a lot too about myself through this whole process, because you're put with people who I mean, with 4 interns, we all have different personalities and we live together and work together, so we're together a lot, and you have to learn how to deal with each other and what gets on each other's nerves and just how to deal with people. Before I got here, I wanted to go to vet school, but I wasn't necessarily sure that I was capable of a GPA that would allow me to get in. And with that, also, I didn't know if I would be good at it. And there's a lot of intimidating people out there who are great at their jobs. And so since I've gotten here, working with Dr. Spare and Tross and Mark even, has kind of helped me affirm that's what I want to do. I've learned a ton about how to deal with adversity with the whole fire, and about how Mark, I think, is great because there's a lot of people that go to him for everything, and he had to stay positive through awful circumstances just to make sure that everybody below him was positive. And so I guess I've learned a ton about leadership skills, but also how you want to be remembered and how you want to treat people. And while I know that the questions I had for Mark in my interview were, how do y'all get everything done with that sizable of a place? And he told me facilities are a big deal. Well, like, he wasn't lying. These facilities are awesome. And staff, I think there's not a ton of people that work here, but everybody knows what they're doing and everybody has a job and it gets done. And so everything here works efficiently. And I think everybody's positive all the time. Nobody really has a bad day. Everybody just kind of happy to be here, and it makes working here fun. It doesn't feel so much like work.